Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. It is the instant match reaction. Everton 1, Luton Town 2. Everton crash out of the FA Cup at the fourth round stage in what was, for me, the worst Everton performance I've witnessed at Goodison Park in the last 10 years. Maybe even longer than that, maybe even 15, 20 years, to be honest. We were absolutely horrific today. Absolutely horrific. And we've seen some bad performances over the years. And Everton have lost some really tough games against some decent opposition. And Everton have lost some games against poor opposition that we shouldn't have been losing. Today was the absolute icing on the cake. That was absolutely horrendous today. And fair play to Luton. They turned up, they battled, they worked hard. They brought, about 14, 15 fans. They had a go, they gave a go, and they probably deserved to win the game. Had Everton had come away with a draw in that one, firstly, it would have been a disaster because a replay would have been an absolute inconvenience and something that neither team needed. But secondly, you would have probably felt Luton did more to win the game than what Everton did in terms of their quality. Okay, Everton were getting forward. Okay, Everton were trying to attack and trying to put them on the back foot in the second half. But there's absolutely no ability within this side whatsoever. It baffles me that we, as a fan base, look at players like Amadou Onana and believe he's not good enough to play for this football club. And then other players get a pass every single week. Now, the reason I bring that up is because there's been a lot of rumours about Amadou recently and him leaving the football club, and there's a lot of Evertonians who seem absolutely fine with the idea of him moving on. Amadou Onana is the best player at this football club, by the way. Let me just say that, and I'm not saying he was great today, and I'm not saying he was unbelievable and, whatever today, but he is the best player at this football club. And the reason I say that, and the reason I bring that up, is because today highlighted just how bad, technically, these players are. We were absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific today. Every single player to a man was horrific today. And we were playing against a really, really poor Luton side. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm not sitting here to listen to people saying, oh, but Luton are doing well at the moment. Luton are fucking terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. And I don't just say that because they've beaten us and I'm salty and I'm having a go and I'm jealous and this, that and the other. Fair play to them. As I've just said, they probably deserve to win the game more than Everton did. Fair play to them. They'll be buzzing, they'll be made up. But you are absolutely brainless if you think that they are nothing but absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. They are terrible. And you know what? We were worse today. We were worse. Now, how do we get to that stage where we're playing an FA Cup fourth round game against a team that we should be beating, and we somehow turn up and put in a worse... It's not like Luton had the best game of their life today and we weren't good enough and they turned up and they were excellent. They were fucking horrendous today, and we did what Everton have done so many times over the years and turn up and play to a level below the opposition. No matter how bad the opposition play, I've seen this so many times over the years as an Evertonian, where we'll come up against a really, really poor opposition and they will be playing really poor, and yet somehow we will still manage to play worse than they do, and they will still manage to come away with a win. And today was an absolute fine example of that. An absolute fine example of that. I don't know how much more I can be bothered with. Last weekend was one of the best weekends I've had for years. And it was literally just because Everton didn't play. And I didn't have to worry, and I didn't have to stress, and I didn't have to panic, and I didn't have to come on here and rant and scream and shout. I could just spend the time with me family and have a nice weekend with no issues whatsoever. And it was one of the best weekends I've had in recent years. I don't look forward to going the match anymore. It doesn't excite me. It's not what I get up for in the morning. It's not something I think, yes, I can't wait to get to Goodison today. This is going to be it. Like I used to do. It's not, it just doesn't have that same effect anymore. And it's because of various different things. But performances like that today ultimately are the top of that list. Horrific. Absolutely horrific. We've got two strikers there who, one of them can't hold the ball up and one of them can't hit the target. The pair of them are not good enough. It's as simple as that. The pair of them are not good enough. We've got wingers there who pick the ball up, run into players, lose it. 5 minutes later, pick the ball up, run into players, lose it. They're fucking horrendous. Jack Harrison, terrible today. Absolutely terrible. I'd send them back to Leeds. I'd send them back to Leeds tonight and I'd say, thanks for your time, but no thanks. Fucking not good enough. Absolutely not good enough. Dwight McNeil today, not good enough. And do you know what else I'm sick of? This whole thing of, well, we've got no one on the bench to change it. We've got no one on the bench. He's got no other options. He can't change it. You know, you're sitting there in the game screaming for it to be changed, and you've got people turning around and saying, well, what's he meant to do? He can't change it. What do you mean, what's he meant to do? Granted, I appreciate Sean Dyche has got a very, very weak squad and a thin squad, and I appreciate that players like Chermiti and Lewis Dobbin and Danjuma haven't done enough to prove themselves and aren't the greatest players in the world. I appreciate it, but fucking hell, try something different. Try something fucking different. There was 10 minutes to go in that game and everybody in the stadium knew what the outcome was going to be. There wasn't one person in that stadium that believed Everton were going to go and get a winner. The very best we could have hoped for was settling for a draw and going to a replay, which would have been a disaster anyway because of how much of an inconvenience that would have been. Everybody knew what was going on, and it's, well, we've got no one on the bench, we can't change it. There is nothing Jack Harrison does that Lewis Dobbin couldn't do. I'm sorry, but there isn't. Even an inexperienced Lewis Dobbin, who probably needs a loan and maybe isn't ready for the Premier League, there's nothing that he can't do that Jack Harrison does. Nothing. Nothing. Or Dwight McNeil, for that matter. There's nothing Danjuma couldn't come on and do. Or there's nothing that Dwight McNeil could do that Danjuma couldn't come on and do better. There was nothing that Chermiti couldn't come on and do better than Beto and Calvert-Lewin today. Nothing Beto and Calvert-Lewin did would have been better than what Chermiti would have come on and done. Because they were fucking useless. Absolutely useless. And I know those players come on and didn't really have a particularly, or Chermiti and Danjuma didn't particularly have a huge amount of effect on the game. And I get that. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate that the manager's in a very difficult situation at the moment and the squad is in a very difficult position. But just watching it go and go and go whilst the same players run into the defenders and whilst the same strikers have the ball bounced off them and not do much and not make movements. Like, why if the players on the bench aren't good enough, and I'm not saying that these players are good enough to come on and change it and score an hat-trick and completely rip a team to bits. I'm not saying that these players are serial goal scorers or creators or whatever. But if they're not even worthy of looking and going, this isn't working here, and the players that are on the pitch at the moment are not doing enough, do you know what? Fuck it, we're going to give you a go. See what you can do, Chermiti. See what you can do, Dobbin. See what you can do, Danjuma. If they're not even good enough and worthy of that, then what's the point in us even turning up and playing a game of footy? What's the point in naming a bench if you are naming players that you are not going to use or you're not going to bring on until 5-10 minutes before the end of the game? What's the point? There's no point in naming a bench. We may as well say to the FA, yeah, we've got no players on the bench because we don't think anybody's good enough to come on and do anything if we need to. At some point, you have to be brave. At some point, you have to say, do you know what? Dobbin, come on, you're getting half an hour because this isn't working. And yes, he might come on and not do much, but at least you can say, well, he changed it. There's no way in this world you can tell me that Beto, McNeil and Harrison all deserve to be on that pitch for 90 minutes today. No way in this world you can tell me that those three deserve to be on that pitch. You could have had a player from the under-15s on the bench, and I would have rather have them been on the pitch than any of them three at the end of the game. Because they were fucking useless. Absolutely useless. And that was never going to change in that 90 minutes. So have a bit of bravery and make that change earlier. I don't know anymore. I really don't know. It's getting to this point now where, yeah, like I said, I can't even be bothered. I can't be bothered to put myself through it week in, week out. What an opportunity that was. What an opportunity in the midst of everything that is going on at the moment at the football club with the takeover and the points deductions and everything that is going on, injuries to key players in the squad that we didn't need, everything that was going on. A fourth round game against the worst team that's arguably ever played in the Premier League. And I don't care if it's disrespectful. I don't care if it comes across salty. I don't care if people get offended. They are fucking horrendous. Horrendous. Do they work hard? Yes. And that will get them results, a la today. And that just shows you how bad we are at the moment. And how desperate times are becoming. We're now on the 27th of January. And as I said last week, I'm willing to bet an awful lot of money this football club will not make a single signing between now and Wednesday. I was talking to John Blaine from Toffee TV before the game, and he was asking me what I feel about Wednesday. And I said to him, why? What's Wednesday? We play on Tuesday, but what's Wednesday? Wednesday's deadline day. I didn't even remember it was deadline day. Because I knew there's no chance of Everton doing any business. Any business. So what's the point in even thinking about it? And then you look at performances like that today and you think, how can they not do business? How can they not find a way to bring somebody in on loan? Find a way to get a bit of money together and just go and spend it? Fuck the rule. Fuck the PSR. Who gives a shite about PSR? Who gives a fucking shite? Look at that team today and say to the PSR, bounce, get the fuck. We're spending whatever money we've got here. I honestly don't know anymore. Like, it's killing me. It's absolutely killing me. It's killing me week in, week out, and I just don't. It's not even just that performance on the pitch. It's not even just that result. It's not even us going out in the FA Cup fourth round to a poor team. It's not even just that. We don't know if our football club will still exist in the next 12 to 18 months. And I know people will say, oh, calm, you're being over dramatic, that's being dramatic, etc., etc. It really isn't. It really isn't. We haven't got an owner at this moment. The owner that is currently in place doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit. He couldn't care. Couldn't care less if Everton win games, if Everton lose games, if Everton go down, if Everton get 10 points deducted. He couldn't care less. We've got a set of players who, for the most part, are not good enough. We've got no CEO, really. The fella that's in charge is there on a temporary basis. We've got no chairman. We've got no board, basically, other than a couple of temporary members who are probably being paid to just sit in a chair. What future has this football club got? And you know what is even worse than all of that is we didn't deserve anything out the game today. We didn't deserve anything. We were horrendous. We were absolutely horrendous. You know, if this is where we are in a position of the players on the pitch not being good enough, but we can't change them because we've got nobody to come in and replace them, and the subs on the bench aren't deemed as good enough, then what's the point anymore? What's the point? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go when the players on the pitch are performing that badly and people in the stadium are saying, well, we've got nobody to come off the bench and change it? How have we got to this? Seriously, like, ask yourself, how have we got to this? How have we got to being within touching distance of administration? Being within touching distance of relegation for what looks like it's going to be 3 years on the spin? How have we got to this? I just don't. Yeah. Yeah. It's destroying me. And I'm sure it's destroying everybody else as well. And, I know I'm not alone in how I'm feeling, but I just remember being so excited the day Farhad Moshiri walked through the door. I just remember being so, motivated and so looking forward to the future, what could bring. We've got a fella in now who's willing to fund the football club, who's willing to get us a new stadium, who's willing to, to bring players in and to spend big money and to really try and improve this squad and to get the very best. And all as he's done is ruined our football club. Absolutely ruined our football club. Keeping people in the job for far too long when they should have been bounced years ago. Believing false narratives like they're the best in the world at what they do, even though they're not capable of running a football club. Employing managers on the basis that they know how to get around the city without needing the use of a sat-nav. Bringing in players because you've watched them a couple of times when you've been at another football stadium and you think they're absolutely brilliant, so you're going to spend 40 million pounds on them and give them 100 grand a week. You know what I mean? The root core to Everton's problems is the gross mismanagement of this football club. And I don't want to be negative for negative sake here, and I don't want to jump on certain individuals, but the reason we were in this round of the FA Cup today is because Andre Gomes scored a worldy free kick against Crystal Palace, and fair play to him. We wouldn't have scored on that day if it wasn't for that, so fair play to him. But Andre Gomes and players like Andre Gomes are the reason we are in this position that we're in today. And that's not a personal attack on Andre Gomes, by the way. He seems like a lovely fella, and technically he's a decent footballer. But he's been getting paid over £100,000 a week for what? 5 years now? When did he come in? 2018? 6 years permanently, 2019? 5 years now. He's been getting paid over £100,000 a week. Michael Keane, what, over £100,000? Mason Holgate's on £70,000 a week. Whose fucking idea was it to give Mason Holgate £70,000 a week? Sandro Ramirez, over £100,000 a week. Morgan Schneiderlin coming, over £100,000 a week. Schneiderlin, Tosun, Walcott, Sigurdsson. The list goes on of endless players that Everton have brought in for huge money on huge wages, and they've left the football club for nothing after doing nothing. And now we're in what seems like an absolute perilous position. An absolute perilous position. And that's what that felt today. It felt perilous. It felt lifeless. And opposition fans can come on and they can laugh and they can joke and they can have a and you know what? Fair enough. Because if it wasn't Everton and it was someone else, the tribalism in football, yeah, you probably wouldn't care too much. But this is beyond a football team losing a game of footy in the FA Cup. It's beyond Everton going out to a poor side. It's beyond a couple of bad defeats. It's the majority of us watching this. It's our lives. And our lives are being ripped apart in front of our very eyes. And it doesn't seem like there's anything to be positive about at the moment. The stadium, I wish we never built it. I'll be honest. It'll be great, and it's what we needed and all of that, but for what? And this is why I'm so conflicted with the 777 stuff. Every time you mention 777, rightly so, there's numerous Evertonians who are worried and who are a little bit anxious and who have got, rightly so, who've got questions about their capability of running a football club. I'm at the position now where I want them in tonight because I just want something different. I need this Moshiri, Kenwright, Barrett Baxendale era of this football club to end, and to end now. Because there will be no future. There's no future for this football club under Farhad Moshiri's ownership. There's no future for this football club under this regime. And I don't know whether there's a future under 777, but at least I don't know. At least there's a glimmer of hope. I've got no hope at this moment. Absolutely no hope. And I haven't got much hope for 777 because of everything we're reading in the media and all of the reports. But, I mean... yeah. I honestly... I don't know what to say. Yeah. Thought Onana did well. Thought Mykolenko did well. I just wish, and I don't know if this is, I don't know. I just wish that there was an option for us to just start again. Start again. If you said to me now, Cam, I've got an option for you. You start again. Brand new owner, new manager, new team, new everything. Everybody that currently is at Everton Football Club, other than obviously the backroom staff that are just like me and you and are just doing a normal job. Everybody on the forefront removed. Fuck it. We'll get a new name. Just start again. I'd snatch your hand off for that. I would absolutely snatch your hand off for that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to leave it there because I've got nothing else really to say. Certainly nothing constructive to say. I'm going to apologise about this because I don't even know what I've just said in the last 25 minutes. It was pure emotion. It was pure anger, frustration, heartbreak, to be honest. Heartbreak. And all of these opposition fans taking the piss. As I said, I'm not going to moan at them. Fair play, whatever. It's football's football, but you've never experienced your football club go through what Everton are going through at the moment. You just haven't, unless you support one of the finite football clubs that have been in this situation. But all of these United fans, whose worst thing to moan about is the fact that, fucking the manager's only won 1 in fucking 3 instead of 3 in 3, and all these Liverpool fans, that only thing they've got to moan about is their manager's leaving and this, that, and you haven't got a fucking clue. You have not got a fucking clue. Yeah, there you go. If you've enjoyed it, subscribe. It'd mean a massive amount to me. I'll be honest, the only reason I'm carrying on going the match is because of this. I don't want to let you people down. I don't want to stop doing the videos. I had a few people come up to me today and say, oh, love your content, love your videos, they're great, etc, etc, etc. If it wasn't for this, there's no chance I'd be going to another game between now and the end of the season. No chance. Because emotionally, physically, I am drained to the point where it's just not, as I said, when it gets to the stage where you are looking forward to the weeks that Everton aren't playing, that's when it's, for me, it's getting to the point of it being too much. And as I said, if it wasn't for this, I don't think I'd be bothering. But there you go. And if you've enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Player ratings will be up shortly. Cheers for watching. See you after.